Are you gonna say any?
Yeah, I'm gonna tear you up, man. I'm gonna ask some personal
No, you're
questions.
not. You
No, I'm
can't
not.
get me. You can't get me.
Yeah. But anyway, let me go ahead and start.
Go.
All right. Good
I'm gonna
morning,
be
everyone.
good. I'm gonna be good today.
I hear you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Slim Nation AM. And this is James Slim Overton, and I'm here and got my coffee here, the Dad Papa. So I'd like to say good morning to my daughter Jamie and my granddaughter Zuri, and of course my lovely wife Benay. So this morning I got a special guest here, a real special guest, and he's moving around, so you're gonna have to stick with him. You don't get dizzy because he's moving around. But anyway, it's Dr. Orion Willis. I call him Dr. O. We go all the way back to I.C. Norcom, and maybe before that, because we both were in the orchestra during our junior high school days. He was at Clark, I was at W. Waters. He had Miss Harding, I had Miss Chapman. And one experience during the summer, I went over to play at Clark with Miss Harding, and I didn't last but one day. They were so much more advanced on the cello than I was. So I just went one day and I said, I can't keep up with these guys. But anyway, that was our experiences, both of us being in the orchestra. And then we met again at Norcom and class of 72, where he was #1 tennis player at IC Norcom and throughout the city of Portsmouth and ranked high up there in the state. And we had a good time in high school, didn't we, Dr. O?
Oh, for sure. How you doing, buddy?
we
Good
won't
to
go we won't go into details, but anyway,
No. We got to keep it straight.
yeah, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing fabulous, man.
Look,
Really good to see you.
yeah, I appreciate you agreeing to being on here with me this morning. One of the things I wanted to do with this AM was in the beginning to have some of my classmates. The first person I had on here was my first roommate at Virginia Union, and he was the one that started calling me Slim. So that's why I had him on first. But I wanted to make sure I had some of my classmates up here, and you, Dr. O, we worked it out. We finally got here. So we want to talk a little bit about, well, one thing, as we talk about the class of 72, and we look at the way things are going now, even back then, we had the sense, or we were involved enough to protest and boycott, where we even got the dog sicked on us, but it wasn't in the 60s uh, civil rights era, but it seemed like it because they sicked the dogs on us just for protesting when we thought that they might close IC Norcom or maybe take the name away. And we weren't having that. And that was a pivotal moment in our lives, don't you think, Doc?
Okay, yeah, man. So for sure, that happened like well, actually, it started in the '60s, the late '60s, when we were freshmen. I believe the initial thrust came about with the graduating class of 1969. That was my brother's class, Roderick Willis and William Tyler and Kenwood Harris and all that crew. They first got involved with the renaming and the closing of the school with an attorney from Richmond by the name of Henry Marsh.
Henry
Yep.
Marsh, yeah.
Henry Marsh, that's what his name was.
Yeah.
And they formulated a compact document and filed court injunctions until 1971, when I guess everything kind of hit the fan. It was 3 years later and we were seniors. And so they're still talking about closing the schools. So we took it upon ourselves to continue to organize, to legitimize with no compromise.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there was a little bit of pushback, but I think it was successful. Nothing happened at that time. And then some other classes beyond us or later on had to do some things to make sure it was that they didn't still keep trying it. And then later on, we got one of our classmates who was a member of the school board at the time to make sure that we got a new Norcom. But those years went by and they were fun years and we had a good time there. And I'd like to shout out to our classmates in 1972. Any of you that might be watching or see this later, shout out to you. Been over 50 years since we walked across that stage and got our diploma.
Yeah, George Taylor Swamp and
George Taylor
Moses
Swamp.
Pete Sykes.
Yeah. Yep. You start naming, man. You're gonna have to name 400.
Okay, yeah, I gotta name everybody and the rest of y'all.
400 and some classmates. But anyway, then we went on to college. I went to Virginia Union. You went to Fisk. You went to Fisk,
Correct.
right? And let me say, and you end up going to Fisk and then Howard University Dental School. Was dentistry a part of your, when you were coming up at Norcom, were you thinking about, was some field of medicine on your mind then? Was part of, because sometimes we have so much fun in high school and we don't start thinking about what we want to do later in life until we get to college. And then we pick a major and say, let's go for was dentistry on your mind there? I know your brother was a medical doctor.
Dentistry was on my mind. Okay. Like my family background includes my mother was a school teacher and she was a widow and she had 4 children. My oldest brother was geared toward medicine, and then my sister toward publishing. Then I have another brother and he's in law. And by the time I came around, I had
the pressure was on, wasn't it?
I had a dentist and his name was Dr. Hugo Owens.
Mm.
And Dr. Hugo Owens said, you would be really good at doing dentistry. So I said, you think so? So then I would go in, and as he would do little procedures, that's how I got interested in dentistry, actually, by Dr. Hugo Owens introducing it to me. And he would let me come in and do little stuff. And I would watch myself and I would watch him do a filling. And that's how I got interested. So I said, I didn't want to do anything except dentistry. Never wanted to be a medicine. I wanted to be either a pilot or an architect or a dentist, but I didn't have the math background, but either the pilot or the architect. So I ended up at Howard.
Yeah, but you had to have that biology background and that science background. So I guess that.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and
even to this day.
And you never really know that, because I think when in high school, I don't remember you talking about, I think I'm gonna be a dentist, And I can't remember, did you put that in? You remember how in the yearbook, in the back of the yearbook, they would say what profession you might think about going in? You remember if you put dentistry or?
I probably put tennis player. I think I think dentistry was like the backup.
Yeah, that was the backup plan.
That was my backup plan.
Couldn't tell you weren't going to be the next Arthur Ashe from out of
I was hoping.
Yeah. Well, you were good enough to be. You were definitely good enough to be.
Just like now, all the kids want to be rappers.
Yeah. Yeah. How about that? But
they get money.
So what would you say to aspiring students that might be thinking about dentistry, or if they're not thinking about dentistry, what would you say to them? What would they have to do? Because the preparation has to start early. You can't wait.
Correct.
Like I said earlier, you can't wait till you get in college saying, what major do I want? Not unless you're going to major in history and government or something like that you can easily slide into. But what would you tell them how to prepare, especially at high school, maybe even in junior high school, if they thinking about it?
Well, actually, to tell you the truth, I just this weekend past left my 40th reunion from Howard University College of Dentistry. And this was a major topic of discussion with the dean and the board of visitors. Howard is going under a complete metamorphosis. And we really are trying to emphasize bringing in young Black males into the profession. The profession has changed over the last 40 years. I have no problems with women in dentistry or any other profession, but the ratio has been reversed, and we're finding fewer and fewer young Black males applying to dental school. First of all, the cost is prohibitive, but However, if there's a will to do something, then we will find a way to get the money to help young Blacks get into school. In fact, the dean has kind of deputized me into being somewhat of a recruiter, volunteer, and there are a lot of things that we can do. You don't have to be a dentist to donate to Howard University College of Dentistry. We're looking at some major projects, major overhauls, including building a new Howard University Hospital and Howard University College of Dentistry in the next 5 to 10 years. However, this is a major project and we have to continue to keep the standards high across the board with all the other dental schools around the world. Howard is still one of the highest ranking schools in the country, but we're lagging behind in a lot of things, and we need bodies, people who have retired and people who have time and want to give something back to the community. That's one of the major commitments that we are trying to achieve at this point.
You mentioned about, a lot has to do with the cost of going to dental school. Of course, there are many scholarships out there, but once you get to that second level of education, grad school, sometimes, you have to find a way, like you said. You think that's the main reason that we don't have as many Black male students entering in the dental school as it was, say, when you were? Because, I think I remember when we were coming up. I mean, it was a lot, and doing a segregation area or post segregation area, there's a lot of Black dentists around, especially in this area.
Well, if you look at
Male dentists.
well, we've got a lot. We had a lot of dentists. We had more Black dentists then than we do now. See, I don't know. It's a combination of factors. Society has changed. We're living in a digital world now. We don't emphasize the sciences and engineering degrees as a lot of other ethnic groups do. We have a lot of people from East India, Asia coming into America, and they're taking up all these seats. They're very conscientious, they're very disciplined, they're very focused, and they come in and they mean business. So after this generation, if we don't pick up the pace, you won't be going to Dr. Willis or Dr. Holly or Dr. Owens. You'll be going to somebody who has a different cultural, ethnic background, which is okay, but it's nothing like being able to relate to your own ethnicity.
Yeah, and
I don't want to say
America is the land of opportunity for all, but we as living here,
but we're not
should
taking
take
advantage of the
Right,
opportunities.
that's what I'm going to say. We have to take advantage
We have
of it.
limited resources, and we're not taking advantage of the resources.
Yes.
So it's up to people like you and me to educate people and say, well, this is available. You can't beat a dead horse.
Yeah.
But you can expose people. Somebody out there wants to go to dental school.
Yes.
And we'll find a way to get them in if they really want to go. But now the females, no problem with it. They'll be, hey, I want to go to dental school. Hey, Howard University was one of the first dental schools that had a woman dean. My dean, Dr. Jean Sinkford. I was with her this weekend. She's 97 years old.
Wow.
And she's one of the first deans and the first woman dean, first Black woman dean of any dental school in America. So the trend, she started the trend from 40 years ago, and now it's like 2-to-1 female-male ratio. So when you go to the dental conferences and the dental conventions, you're gonna see mostly women.
Yeah, well, that's progress in one way, but we still have to make sure that we all take advantage of that.
We need to keep up.
That's right. I want to switch just a little bit before I talk about something else. Me being a heart patient, a heart transplant patient,
right.
I want you to talk a little bit about, I think a lot of people don't know this, as far as when you talk about dental hygiene, how important it is, how that connection between good dental hygiene and your heart. A lot of people don't realize that, that how you take care of your teeth and what you do is probably maintaining and keep those regular dentist visits can affect, if you don't, can affect what happens to your heart and probably other organs of your body. But I'm talking about the heart now since I went
I'd
through
be
that.
happy to expound on that.
Please do.
First of
My brother.
all, there's a direct relationship between periodontal disease and heart disease.
Mhm.
Periodontal disease is basically what we call, the old folks used to call it the pyorrhea. They
Mhm.
used to call it, pyorrhea includes bleeding gums, bad taste, bad breath, bone loss, tooth mobility in its early stages, and then periodontal disease is painless until it gets into the advanced stages.
Mhm.
You know, before you had all your heart procedures, you had to get your teeth
Removed.
removed
Every,
because of
every one of
periodontal
them.
disease. Periodontal disease that is incipient and insidious. In other words, it's almost indetectable, kind of like hypertension. But the same bacteria that are involved with periodontal disease are the same bacteria that can line your heart. You can have heart problems because of gum disease. You can have, because it's a chronic low-grade infection of all kinds of bacteria, over 250, 300 kinds of bacteria in your mouth. So what we try to do is encourage good hygiene. In the event of dental treatment, there's nobody that can not undo what a dentist does. If I come in and treat you and then you don't continue or follow up the treatment with hygiene, it's almost like a waste of time and money. We have all kind of products. We have all kind of new technologies. Some of the stuff is expensive and some of the stuff is not so expensive. But here in America, we have some of the top dental training and product probably anywhere in the world. The Norfolk Naval Base is where I've taken a lot of training from. The Navy has the finest naval facilities in the world. The largest naval facility is in Sewell's Point, and we take all kind of advanced continuing education. We have all kind of lasers. We have all kind of digital components. It's just phenomenal. It's fascinating. I just came back from a class on implants and oral facial pain. But the main thing that everybody can do is be their own dental hygienist. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to take care of your teeth.
Yeah, that's so important. And what about the people, it's a lot of phobias out there. And one of the things that a lot of people have, and I've seen it with really educated people that should know better, that have this phobia about going to the dentist. Now I remember being real young and going to Dr. Paulson. Remember Dr. Paulson?
Oh
And
yeah, a tennis buddy.
right. And yeah, he was tennis player as well. And that particular time I went and a tooth he was pulling on, it really hurt. And that stuck in my mind. And it was a while before I got comfortable to go. And that's not going to be your experience every time, especially nowadays. Things have advanced to the point where I'm not going to say you're not going to experience any pain, uh, but it's not like it was. And what would you say? How would you comfort someone that has that phobia that has the fear of the dentist? And sometimes they haven't never been. They just somebody going in their mouth and doing some things. Because most of the time now, when you all are working on someone's mouth, you don't even know it, because you're numbed and anesthetized, and So what would you tell one of those people that really have a problem and they really need to go?
What do I tell them all the time? First of all dentists are not created equal. Okay. Um, Fortunately for me, I have kind of mastered the technique of anesthesia. After 40 years, I've worked in private practice. I've worked on children. I've worked on geriatrics. I've worked in prisons. And everybody has a certain degree of apprehension. We try to stay away from words like pain and hurt. And it's a psychology, and it's almost like, I'm not going to say a secret recipe, but I've invented or patented a technique that will fully anesthetize a whole person's mouth with a marginal amount of discomfort. It's you have to talk to the patient, to find out. Like you said, well, I had a dentist. Some people say I had a dentist when I was 5 years old, and he did something to me. And this person is 35 or 40 years old, and they said I haven't been back to the dentist since then. There's no excuse, but it happens all the time. I've worked in settings where I've done implants, dentures, full mouth restorations, 5, 1, 2, 5, 20, 35, 30, all the way up to 30 teeth. Okay, so you have to prepare the patient. What I like to do is prepare the patient psychologically and explain to them that reasonable expectations. Say this is not going to be a one-day fix, regardless to whatever you hear about TV. You can get one-day treatment, but you're not going to heal. Nobody's going to heal in one day. So you have to have reasonable level expectations. Today, we have so much information on the information highway, and people said, so and so and so. I said, well, who told you that? Oh, I read it on the internet. Okay, well, that's good. But you have information, but do you have the training and understanding to comprehend the information that you read? Just like with COVID, they tell you COVID this, COVID that. Unless you're a scientist, a doctor, almost an immunologist, you don't really know what they're talking about. The medicines that we get, you hear all these side effects, you hear the pros, but they run through the cons so fast. So we have to make sure that a person is totally healthy. We try to, and if there's any doubt about a person's health, we're more emphasizing the total human than just the teeth, because the teeth are connected to the rest of the body. They affect your eyes, your organs, and everything. So we're taking a more manageable, preventive approach to this to eliminate the trauma. Because some people, I've had them ball up into the fetal position. I've had them, fear. Fear is a serious thing. So we try to stay away from pills, drugs, and we try to counsel the patients and let them decide what will be good. A lot of times it's finance, but people stay away from the doctor. Women are better patients than men. Men just don't go to the doctor. They go.
The big, strong men, yeah.
They're the worst patients in the world. And when I was working in the jail, it was amazing. I just found that the hardened criminal guys were the scariest ones of the dentists. They were it just really confused me how people could be violent criminals, but if they see that little needle. So you gotta try to hide the needle, and you try to kind of talk to the person, and you kind of try to encourage them. You give them a little bit of anesthesia at a time, because you never know what kind of reaction. We take the patient's blood pressure. If the blood pressure is too high, we ask them if they're on medication, if they haven't seen the doctor. Sometimes we'll just dismiss the patient, bring them back. Quite often, we'll diagnose some condition that the patient doesn't even know what they have. But we spend a lot of time doing medical consultations now, because we don't want to run into somebody that's already having a pre-existing condition. And then what we do for them, because the anesthetic has large amount of epinephrine, which is a vasoconstrictor, which makes the anesthetic stay in that place. So we have different types of anesthesia. And now we're coming off with a whole new thing. We're doing laser dentistry. No shots, no antibiotics, no post-operative thing. This is like Star Trek dentistry.
Yeah, the stuff.
Got it. Everybody doesn't have it, but we have lasers now that they can take a teeth out. They can do gum treatments. We can do fillings. It's a water. It's high technology stuff, but I've been studying it, and hopefully, I might be able to incorporate one in my practice sometime
Yeah.
soon.
Well,
All about time and money.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is to, take care of your teeth ahead of time. Don't wait till they're at their worst
Take care of your
and then
whole
go to
body.
the dentist, your whole body, and then go to the dentist because it's going to hurt more. And
We used to take a course called GYM, but the real name of the course was Health and Physical Education.
yeah,
We
health,
used to like to go because we used to like to play, but the health
play
part
basketball.
needs to be really emphasized at an early age in schools. And as far as learning and developing the habits and the criteria for dental education, you start in elementary school,
Yeah,
you start in junior high school.
yeah,
And we're developing some programs because we see there's a crisis going on. So we're trying to intervene right now. We're doing a lot of things. We're doing
yeah. And
the
I
best we
think parents need to start their kids young, as soon as their permanent teeth come in, going to the dentist. We did that with my daughter, and all the way growing up, she would have more nerves than me as far as going to. She would ask to go to the dentist, and you can look at her teeth today, and it shows. Uh, she had no problem with it, but she started young, so she never had a fear of
2
going.
years old.
Yeah, and going now, 2
You can
years
just
old.
take them in
Okay,
there to introduce you to the dentist. And I've seen patients 90-some years old with all their teeth,
yeah,
all of them.
and you would say just because you're not having any problems, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have regular visits to your dentist, because you might find some things, Dr. O, that are like sort of festering in their mouth.
We could
Yeah,
find something.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
we'll find something. I promise you, we're gonna find something. But we have great uh, hygienists. The dentist hygienists, I have to take my hat off. That we have a shortage of hygienists, we have a shortage of dentists, we have a shortage of dental assistants. So anybody interested in any of those careers, medicine, any of the healthcare professions, because COVID was the ball changer, the game changer with all of that. We
Hmm.
do everything differently. It's like before COVID and after COVID.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Dr. O, I thank you. I'm gonna have you back, so we want to talk about some other things, but I wanted to main your first visit here, talk about dentistry and tell people what you were doing, and especially future dental students, what they need to do to prepare, and they need to get serious about it early. You can still have your fun in high school, but
Oh, we had
make
plenty
sure,
of fun.
yeah, but make sure you focus. You can do both on where your interests are. I've had people up here that had in math, started in math real early, and now they're mathematicians at NASA and things like that. So
Yeah,
you can have those visions earlier, those dreams or those goals early. But you don't have to lock yourself up in the room and study all day, because we've seen what happens to some of those people. But I'm laughing, but sometimes they don't have a life. But you can have a life, but make sure you
a
seriously
balance, a
a
balance.
balanced life. Make sure you seriously look at because nobody had more fun than we did. And before we go off, and I want to talk a little bit, of how we and a lot of our classmates from that 72 class got involved in the political game in one way or another. You and I sat on many commissions, in our adult life, like the 2025 Citizens Committee, where
All
some of
right.
those things that we worked on then are being implemented today. You know,
Finally,
we're
yeah.
almost at the 2025 where they're going to have to do it again. Uh,
Revisions.
the Vision 25. So
We had a great comprehensive plan, of course. We just haven't followed up on all of this stuff.
yeah,
Money is a big thing.
yeah. And sometimes when the composition of the council changes, the
Right.
direction changes, and that happens. But I'm saying that to say,
That was devised
get
by the
involved.
people for the people.
Yeah,
That's a people plan.
yeah,
That's the plan that we left the city. So all you got to do is open the book and follow the plan.
yeah. It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
and the
And
more,
we're here to help.
yeah, how
We're
about
here
that?
to help.
The more citizens involvement, the better.
Yeah.
So just
I really
encourage them.
appreciate you letting me come on today, man.
Yeah, man, I
Good to
appreciate
see
you
you,
coming
bro.
on. Good to see you,
Good
and
to see you, bro.
we're gonna come back, and I appreciate all the
I remember
knowledge.
those days over at Centaura Hospital.
Yeah, yeah. I got to tell people when I was in the hospital waiting on several operations, one of my mainstay people that would come over there was Dr. Orion, my buddy from high school. And it was funny. I'd be sitting in there and the nurses coming there. And sometimes I would have to tell them, look, you're talking to, they would talk that medicine, that doctor talk. But he would sit there and know exactly what they were talking about. And then he could, yeah,
My
and he could
buddy.
relay it to me, or
Good to see
even
you.
question them. Is that what he needs? But anyway, but I really appreciate those visits. That meant a whole lot.
And you're a miracle. You're a
And then,
walking miracle, man.
yeah,
I'm just happy to see you, buddy.
yeah, man, yeah, we're still here. But all
It's
that was important back there. Those visits, kept me
not done
kept me
yet.
going. Not done yet. We still got a lot of things to do.
Got a little bit more gas in the tank.
How about that? But again, appreciate you, brother. And
Anytime.
anytime, if you have something new in the field you want to share with the audience we have here, let me know, and we'll make it happen. But other times, just come up here and chat about things, about some of the. You start mentioning some of our classmates and some of the people around,
We'll be days.
like Wesley Van. Now he wasn't our classmate, but he was he was a big part of that experience.
Tony Tapp.
Yeah, Tony Tapp, and so we
And the
appreciate
rest of the crew.
and the rest of the crew.
And the shot callers.
Yeah. And I think I'll have some more of the classmates up here and just talk about.
And we got some stuff going on at Norcom this year, man. It's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
This September, and then the regular homecoming in October. So it's gonna be a big
Hall of Famers.
The Hall
Look
of
out,
Famers.
the Athletic Hall of Famers. We're gonna reorganize and regroup. There's a lot of things going. This is gonna be a great year for Norcom.
Yes, a lot of people that probably need to go in there. A lot of people need to go in there. So I'm still trying to get in for the most bench time.
Okay, we'll get it.
Basketball.
I'll get Buster Nelson and we'll get back with you on that. How about that?
Yeah, Buster's already in there, so that might be a little clout. That might be to help me get it.
Buster's a good man.
Yeah, he's been a guest
Coach
up here.
Savage is still around. Coach Savage is still around. He's 98. I think he'll be 98 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
he's still alive.
Yeah, and we were lucky to have him on the show, so we got him. I mean,
one of the most articulate men I've ever met.
The wordsmith from I mean, nobody knew a coach.
He's a great guy. Comes from a great era.
Yep. But anyway, take care, brother. You have a great day, and
I'll see you around.
We'll be seeing you around. I just want to tell everybody: be aware, be informed, and most of all, be involved. And always remember, your voice is your vote. Your vote is your voice. Make sure you vote, especially in primary next June. Anything you want to say about that primary? Except go vote on the 20th.
Go vote on the 20th.
All right. Make sure and be an informed voter. That's what we want.
Yes.
Okay. All right, my brother. Take care.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless you too, brother.